Inti anopa we yensa documents via a thread. The first 120 days of John Mahama. Adia we decided say opese oye ema Ghana for the first 120 days of President John Mahama. And adia we decided say opese oye ema Ghana for. Inti no me buy ebe call documents no mu. Ni are picking 111 or promises back 26 in the first 120 days, which is his first 1 month, first 4 months, because he had 30 days in 1 month. It's in the first 120 days, Nyama or intending to do. But has a year plus 233 studios. Mr. say, and then they declare will share and there. Mr. said, oh, Benya Butcher, no one subscribe to your channel, no one like your video way so. Now was a actual dream about the first 26 Nyama or person year in the first 120 days. Do you believe he can do it? Do you believe he cannot do it? The person who are dream chair and say who believe so bit me yeah. What do you think? Say oh yeah. Do you think these things would help? You know, comment, like, and subscribe to the channel so that anytime we are making new video, it's my main code through. So the title of the document is Mahama's first 120 days social contract with the people of Ghana. Mahama's first 120 days social contract with the people of Ghana. So you can't be a social contractor. Or shani yama obetimi a social yama yama obetimi a ye betimi aboa yen ya brabo no. So it's the first 120 days nyama or sha obetimi a ye ebeboa oman no first of all a social contract. It's a nye contractor or sign ye depend big to us here to say business contract and BB. But he wants us to know he has a social contract with us because we are a country and he is our president. Within the first 120 days of his government, you know, these are the things. You know, me baba bekum and Yamani bako 26 and in the first 4 months of he being in a beam or government. No. And, you know, on the first page of that particular document, you know, and I'm reading it. Second page, you know, it talks about 4 promises. The first one is he says he wants to nominate within the first 14 days, which is 2 weeks. It's almost the 7th January now, because he had to abandon 7th December, and we all know that Baumia just considered say when we need until now, no, it is Mahama who has won. So Mahama says somebody initial BMO on 7th of January now. 7th of January no. Within first 2 weeks, 14 days. Within first 2 weeks. Until by 21st there, Obetimi appointed, he will nominate within the first 14 days the complete list of cabinet ministers for parliamentary approval. Until say you can say cabinet ministers. Now what do they mean? Those are ministers that are going to help him. Under the Constitution of Ghana, no, let me state the article. The article chapter 76 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana. Esre ana ekachre yen say ana esre president ne say onya cabinet ministers not fewer. Oman Dawson cry was almost 10. What you say? No, Oman Dawson cry was almost 10. But in this on 19, yen name is Akufo-Addo MIA bako 24 cabinet ministers. Or no creating the ministries nibi and or the big kaka ho. Akufo-Addo was using what? A 24 cabinet ministers. That is what Nana Akufo-Addo had. But Mahama say within the first 14 days of his government, he's going to appoint cabinet ministers within the first 14 days. 14 days. Obe appointed. Now or appointee omuya was somebody omu parliament. No more approve. But the funny thing is that as we are seeing currently, the NDC has almost 2/3 of the Ghanaian parliament currently. The last time I checked online, they have almost 170 something. It's in what it means is that in parliament, like as they have 2/3 of parliament. So what it means is that the likelihood of this particular nominated people to go through is likely high. I don't know if you understand. I likely say ebe go through because omno holding majority. Now majority in come to third in parliament. So the first thing is that he's going to appoint these people within the first 14 days of his government. The second thing on the document says that constitutes the leanest and most efficient government under the Fourth Republic in my first 90 days in office. So making sure say or the government no babeli no enye kese bubruja. Because we remember say with the current NPP that just went out, Nana Akufo-Addo's old, we had ministers and ministers had deputies and their deputies even had deputies. What you say? But Mahama is saying that he's going to run a very lean one. Just say, "Onon nkrofo na onion baby man on fan nkrofo baby, obe fan nkrofo kete within the first 90 days no nkrofo kete pen no form onion mu for his own the next 4 years of his government. If he's able to do this thing, what do you think? Then number 3, I say I'll establish a robust code of conduct and standards for all government officials. Establish a robust code of conduct and standard for all government officials. Ojem say, obe establish a code of conduct. To say emra, obe establish enye emra like ayewe, but code of conduct. Saying here was a living a life for official governments, no? Because sometimes you who government officials, behave anyhow. Sometimes drive they just drive around anyhow, they just talk anyhow, they just do things anyhow. Ministers need be basa, okokan to say obi a bisa obi so on your mind timetable because you light dundundun you can hear dundundun. Now the panic catcher say yeah you can hear. So he says that the government officials, all government officials, obi a oye duma wa bemu bia our government official nkwade okoma obema code of conduct and standard into what your standard into a was all year ABC, 1 year ABC they are fire, ABC 1 year ABC they are demoted. That is what we need currently. Then number 4, the fourth point, I say I will hold a national economic dialogue. Hold a national economic dialogue. Just say nation in our money in our baba betanase. Akasa about yesika sem Ghana yesika sem because ye na him say dollar na dey enkoyi dollar against the cedi ni nkoyi. Currently I think omo man BBL we be dollar no dey hit 14.8 baby but ye nyina na him say nam 16.8 I cost 17 nti no also one ye nyina baba betenase near having that particular conversation about yesika sem no. And he says to discuss the true state of the economy and prepare a homegrown fiscal consolidation program to guide the budget. Into your budget, you baba be no. Or person or tenase ni enhwe efie homegrown consolidation program, fiscal homegrown consolidation program. Or person will make sure say o minor e wom no ye sika sem ni ade ye budget ni ade tax bi also yi bibi also yi then e betime aboan ni ade or person no ye tenase near planning. This is a mark of a good leader. If he's able to do this thing, let's see. So those are the first 4. The second thing on the document says that constitutes the leanest and most efficient government under the Fourth Republic in my first 90 days in office. So making sure say or the government no babeli no enye kese bubruja. Because we remember say with the current NPP that just went out, Nana Akufo-Addo's old, we had ministers and ministers had deputies and their deputies even had deputies. What you say? But Mahama is saying that he's going to run a very lean one. Just say, "Onon nkrofo na onion baby man on fan nkrofo baby, obe fan nkrofo kete within the first 90 days no nkrofo kete pen no form onion mu for his own the next 4 years of his government. If he's able to do this thing, what do you think? Then number 3, I say I'll establish a robust code of conduct and standards for all government officials. Establish a robust code of conduct and standard for all government officials. Ojem said, Obe establish a code of conduct. To say Emra, Obe establish any Emra like I but code of conduct. Saying here was a living a life for official governments, no, because sometimes you who more government officials behave anyhow. Sometimes some drive they just drive around anyhow, they just talk anyhow, they just do things anyhow. Ministers need be basa, okokan to say obi a ekobisa obi so on your mind timetable because you light dundundun you can hear dundundun. Now the panic catcher say yeah you can hear. So he says that the government officials, all government officials, obi a we mo wa be mu bia our government official nkwade okoma obema code of conduct and standard into what your standard into a was a ABC, the 1 year ABC they are fire, ABC, the 1 year ABC they are demoted. That is what we need currently. Then number 4, the 4th point, I say I will hold a national economic dialogue. Hold a national economic dialogue. Just say nation in our money in our baba betanase. Akasa about yesika sem Ghana yesika sem because you know him say dollar na dey enkoyi dollar against the cedi ni nkoyi currently I think omo man BBL we be dollar no dey hit 14.8 baby but you know him say nam 16.8 I call 17 into no also one ye nyina baba betenase near having that particular conversation about yesika sem no and he says to discuss the true state of the economy and prepare a homegrown fiscal consolidation program to guide the budget. Into your budget, you baba be no. Or person or tenase ni enhwe efie homegrown consolidation program, fiscal homegrown consolidation program. Or person will make sure say, o minor e wom no, ye sika sem ni ade ye budget ni ade tax bi also yi, bibi also yi, then e betime aboa ni ade. Or person no only ye tenase. Mere planning. This is a mark of a good leader. If he's able to do this thing, let's see. So those are the first 4. So on his 5th point, or say, within my first 90 days in office, I will scrap the following draconian taxes to alleviate hardships and ease the cost of doing businesses. It was within the first 90 days, which is the first 3 months. Or best scrap some taxes and Ghana for no like Obrana year de Mayan. The first one year e-levy. In terms of the campaign ye guys or the campaign ye but we also can say on so cancel e-levy and like Ghana for say massa. If you did the government inside, why that same way you put for the thing top? Why now you won't cancel? You did that thing inside mu kunye ni e-levy. Because it's a party ni kwa ni Samaria Baumia cause our e-levy party with the pictures in the back show. It's no I said first of all e-levy tax no e-levy no obey fuel. The second being COVID levy no so obey then if you want COVID levy no obey if you want the 1% COVID levy na ya 30 no obey no so if you want. The third one levy obey 10% levy on bet winnings. It's the investors, investors now you cut sporty bets, soccer bets, then bets no obey a 10% tax no every so. And the last on those particular levies, emissions levy. It's almost at least some levy. Anytime there, okay, move ya, Charlie. Obia gotoka, me say minika. Obia gotoneka, na emission, we smoke in your maname finika mo. Oji me tax setting. So your cancels and your money now. It's within the first 90 days. Robert cancels have 4 taxes: 1 e-levy, 2nd COVID levy, 3rd 10% levy on bet winnings, and the 4th emission levy. Number 6 point, or see, within my first 90 days in office, review taxes and levies on vehicles and equipment imported into the country for industrial and agricultural purposes. It's the taxes I am to 1. Obi ako import obi person o si factory bi obi person o si machines bi ni niama na wakoto machines bi abrochire China ni niama o de ba Ghana aba be agriculture na oba bi say oye niama kese bi wo Ghana no obehwe on cars obete sorry or say obehwe no we review sa taxes no mo any levies no dey to cars any equipment aye dey ba Ghana see person ye dey be ye Ghana yie no ebia obi si ni factory bia na bibi obetete sa na ma nyina obehwe no we review. Number 7 was say I will commence the drafting of the needed legal amendments and prepare for implementing the 24-hour economy policy under the office of the president. It was say within the first 90 days no so obehwe say omo the legal ye emra niyama ebe kire say okay on make 24-hour economy no within the first 90 days no obehwe say on best study so omo commence omo draft legal niyama laws niyama ebe kire ebia wo pesa join 24-hour economy no we a company this is what you need to do we need be yama electricity na e person provide the campaign niyama na oye nyina no within the first 90 days within the first 120 days no obehwe sa niyama no so amaye. You know, these are all good policies, or what do you think? Point 11, or say, I want to introduce, or I will introduce the following social interventions. Free tertiary educations for persons with disability. To be a nensei twa, nenai twa, and I say, Chikasem Yabekasi within me kakra, within me, meaning say Chikasana is I'm right or not, but disability, it be any form of disability, no. Say or co school or co university, and yet primary school, and yet secondary school. Because SHS need say free SHS or primary school Nangasano is progressively free. It is anybody say oh but ne want to chima kakra, we did them kakra, emphasis we did them kakra. So we did them kakra na or be co school. To say either nursing training, teacher training, and bia. Obe make sure say or introduce policy bia your friend of the Mahama Cares Fund. Into the Mahama Mahama Cares Fund no. Sorry, Mahama Cares Fund no. What he's supposed to do is that first of all, they have the Ghana Medical Care Trust. I be making sure say na pomudini nyame nyina so mbehwe. Aside from na pomudini no mo hwe no. Or tertiary university or tertiary institution bia nursing training, teacher training, university emubia no all konkwa de obe make sure say a free tertiary education for that people with what disabilities. Number 12 or say obe commence the distribution of free sanitary pads to female students in primary and secondary school. It's taxes now on the Google pad no so nyama no onga so you but or say at this point no free sanitary pad, it's part the obeti free for female students or more primary any secondary school. So more SS in na free part. The second thing is say or more primary school in a free part. I think it's a good idea, and I wouldn't say. Point 13 where there. Me say Ghana for any ever come kakra. Point 13, you know. Or say I will institute enquiries and or forensic audits into the following matters of public interest. Into one, the collapse of indigenous banks. Your banks ne gugu you know, from UT Bank, GN Bank. Your kaise Mahama kasa or bar. So the first the collapse of indigenous Ghanaian banks and financial institutions at a supposed cost of 25 billion. It's no museum here 9 billion, no the saving banks, but the 25 billion in the good banks. Just your bad, the first thing he's going to do is he's also going to within the first 120 days. When you now walk in now within the first 120 days, within the first 4 months. So he says that he's going to institute enquiries into first of all the entities our banks when Ghana banks in no you did 25 billion eguno. Then the second point I say illegal printing of money because you can say ebedu be na Bank of Ghana print this car inti media me ni ya ma ba bedu emfia medu in my 30s early 30s going to my mid 30s me who that say Bank of Ghana boka but under na kufa the Ghana Bank of Ghana boka so many times. So that is one of the reasons why. Then he says the $58 million National Cathedral scandal. No, so 58 million na National Cathedral. No, so swimming pool no missing no National Cathedral no missing. Obehwehwe eno so inside. Then he's also saying, say, illegal and inflated single source contract. Into contract, be more. A buying now, old trim at the mine. So buying old trim or the contract in the mine. And can normal process now was some for bidding the idea, but on no decide, buying decide, say, ambulance contracting, may the money power, we contract it, may the money power, we contract it, may the money power. So, also about Obeshe and Sumu. Then the also other thing is the COVID-19 expenditure scandal. You can't say COVID-19 see, you know. Emma, we do baby crano, women organizer will say, we MPB, I can say, or no Ukraine say 100,000 or say BB. So Obeshe say COVID-19, Sikani, you know, World Bank, my any idea. Then on the eye, Obeshe says, on audit into that one as well. Then the other thing is PDS. PDS, you can say ECG. As some PDS, Obeshe PDS muso. Na Ejapa. The can say Japan, no person somebody a dog, yeah, minerals, then you maybe one microphone. Aha, what's your buy? So Obeshe inside. This is where Ghanaians are also very interested. Then also Obeshe SML. SML no, omo contract ni say nan komu make sure say yen lose. Ye ma almost a contract. Omo njiske bi ma Ghana da. They didn't take any money for Ghana. But omo njiska ma Ghana no. Omo say to you omo ka. What the human here the bre o say be no one mama me human. So as can so as I jiske bi mo didi. So Obeshe SMA ono. The next one is ambulance spare parts deal no. Because Nansia okujo to abla kwa this issue no buy of the ambulance spare parts deal being sensem near there. I say Nana Akufo-Addo ne baby Jankru maybe is fingered in there and sensem Obeshe ni so inside. Then the other thing is 13th African Games. African Games near Nansia say this $2 BB. Emma editor Bianima for the moment contract basis near the Mikaisa basis on cry and talk because Mikaisa Madame Fubi Ochibas via a koji ya brand a brand film. So Obeche Kisania Mano in 13 African Games na and see a stadium no Museo Messino I to conditions Obeche Sanya money inside. The other thing is the Skytrain because it has a $20 million or $2 million for Skytrain say you be train sometimes social movies ni bia say trains in a movie na Akufo-Addo government say on be bia my anya my but omo say tuaka ade unye ade say tuaka for them so omo say on be hwehwe eno so mu then the Poalugu dam omo ka say omo see dam e wo Poalugu o say omo hwehwe ni nyina mu because say omo provide mass set bi e for school nkola so because there's some asset as no omu beka say omu koto asset is $10 or say bibi you converting it kabutuo but ko tudu ana de bi enye tudu ofa tudu na wo ko wenim kakra o parking busku no parking tudu mu a o to asset e ya hen sa contract no so obehwe mu. The other thing is galamsey fraud because yet say edubu ahen ne nkofo eye galamsey bi ni ade also obe check and so. Then missing excavators. Yes, excavators na actually mukochichi here na omusi omejai omu so my den. Obehwe enu sumu. And tricycles, Sportnak V, COVID, drone na omusi omoma enu. Ye hu say skabi mu afafa baby. Bust scandal. Bust the bulk oil storage we omo check. Omo make sure say oil like you use there was a scandal. Make I say A+ used to work at Bost. Senior Hosi used to be there. I think he was the CEO of Bost or something. That is the 13th point. Let's go to the 14th point. He says, I will institute a government policy banning political appointees from purchasing state assets. Intino obey government policy be a share nkopo mo abem say and a government political appointees obi ya fan wa abem say masa untimi to Ghana ijapade because you kai say na ya yenu Brian champion no person talk snit we labadi hotels mo na snit osafuma for ni baby share hon more tries obeton aha into also obey policy be a say untimi to talk So what to tell it that's why you be training in emu. Number 50, you see I will allocate seed money for the establishment of the Women's Development Bank. One of the campaign messages is also obey a banker for women world development because on my ayetimu nkrofuti through omo my we emba. Emba does on say emba Ghana my we mu. And omo me adwade for titru uko marketer. Sikanangasa womba no ho so we Ghana as sikano womba no. So person ye Women's Development Bank emma den emba. Number 16, the 16 point is that it says I will launch the following priority job creation programs in the first budget. It's in the first budget to be reading or a Juma because he also campaigns on the Ejuma Bebrahim. So he says one of the things is the Ejumewura program, the National Apprenticeship Program, and 1 million coders program. It is about computer coding your money at the no. Or see 1 million people computer programs. Ghana nangasa 32 million. It is a 1 million coders program. Ghana Asia. It means you can even export some of these people to help other countries in Africa or other countries elsewhere. Ejumewura program or the Ejuma. The one is the and I think they all fall under Ejumewura. I'm not too sure. But one thing I know is the National Apprenticeship Program. Sisi Anombe Institute National Apprenticeship Program. Say nkrofobebre new Ejuma no. Ombe bo mo into apprenticeship ni adoma kwa kosie Ejuma. Bo opeso osie Ejuma bi. But okwa kosie Ejuma na bia nipa na obeche ni Ejuma ni semeje 1000 Ghana. Bia nipa ni nya. But this particular government is going to help with that particular thing. I remember they were doing it for adults some time back. So let's continue. So the 17 point says that I'll commence the review of the Customs Amendment Act to scrap the law banning the importation of salvage vehicles to rescue the local automotive industry at 1 Swami Magazine, 2 Kokompe, Abosokai, among others. Yekai say under Customs Amendments, no Customs Ghana decided say Sisia because they companies be Ghana some more cars into Sisia no salvage cars and a cars are ebia assay kakra ebedu baby cra ebedu baby no say cars are say over 8 cars binimunia maybe omuti be allow man in Ghana but those particular cars omoba anka you to 2 or more as parts what I say you to 2 or more as parts nanke atonton because me say you know mechanic person very old car 1992 Mitsubishi Court me toss a car there me here parts but because Swami Magazine ni company abuso kan for ni some parts because toss a car na hwe about down ni car to be on also ton spare parts ni ade nyina no ontimi nya spare parts in ton because onya salvage cars what I say then number 8 you see I'll lay before parliament a new bill to streamline government scholarship administration into or the policy baba beto one more because he who say Cocoa scholarship now is made for Ghanaians and then here from Bano. Here from Bano create as scholarship. Until the bill be to parliament. A traces our bills way. A traces okay, Sheniye, young scholarships who are supposed to benefit from scholarships. All these are scandals which were under Nana Akufo-Addo. So he's just looking at those ones and working on them. The second one says that it should also prohibit political appointees from accessing government scholarships. Tiye say Nancy scholarships here betray me. Government appointees for me about scholarships. I remember Napoleon Crawford scholarships, which is not supposed to be so. Scholarships are supposed to be for in here for a year. So why are you giving it to Obi or So he says he's going to look at that and also eliminate political patronage, cronyism, and nepotism with the advocacy. Patronage, not just a political for no one or more patronize or one or more scholarship, then cronyism and nepotism. It's more or less like me who said I mean sure, but he says those are some of the things. And I'll say, and corruption in awarded government scholarships. Until there is also corruption. Until make a new bill like a bet Charlie. Corruption wa be money at the adin no. See a scholarships near the na or more by more benefit. It's simple as that. Let's go to the point 19. Or see ban illegal and new mining activities in forest reserves. Into your forest reserves, to say first in your forest, maybe hydrogen so to say you watch motor forest, no, you will baby brave, anka ye ne say forest anka wo hono anka boyen but no omo be study some ma license so omo betimi akotu galamsey mo be akotu galamsey gather and sell e was ankofo galamsey ye gather and sell mo betimi akotu galamsey e was mia no nti say one of the things is that he's going to ban new activities and ban illegal and new activities in forest reserve and roll out our Tree for Life and Blue Water initiative to heal and sustain and harness the by turning areas and water bodies degraded by illegal mining into economic and ecological recovery hubs. To be a to galamsey ni ade nyina no obe make sure say ye dua ndua wo hono mo ye de ndua nsuo no ye make sure say ye clean nsuo ni ade nti galamsey no baba be solve that particular problem. Then the point 20 says that he says he will launch the Black Star Experience Initiative as Ghana's flagship culture, art and tourism brand to transform Ghana into a preferred tourism destination. Intino ose obe launch the Black Star Experience Initiative. A initiative bi a establish ya ebe boa yen ama yetimi aton ye culture, ye niama, ye duane, ye ntade she many ye niama nyina baby I also call ye hu say adrofa start some oba Ghana pa. Intino obaba be create something like that or be create something like that ebe boama eno so aye den akoni me betimi aton ye duane ye ntade ye niama amama abrofo no so. The 21 or say commence 21 the 21 point says I will commence investigation process to purge state security agencies of all militia and vigilante elements. Intino obeye investigation into your state institutions to say military, police, fire service for we are making sure say vigilante like omo ye vigilantes ni nyama ya form obi won no yeduma as Zoka boys or yeduma as hase or I say ni afane di na national security muni we also be investigation into all those ones so that we make sure say all right education, you have the right training, and Sunny our public service no so be police near there because in current times we've seen the rise of the rise of all this particular nyama. I will be on more I'll say or you not on phones for circle because say it's John Dumelo ni constituency we ni we say two be shoot you say we cars as some judge cars or dodgy bulletin. The guy said I was selling phones at Circle. You know, Madam for be friend, me say member and me Juma. BNI. Now BNI there is Bureau of National Investigation. No investigation. So be your tone phones. I be your own school papi be there. You can't even do proper investigations. Is it trained properly to be there? Or be investigation into that particular one. The 23rd point. Or say I will reopen investigations into major unresolved criminal cases. Into cases be more and more akokoso Ghana I am resolve to say 2020 election no killings no yekunkun ni pe be in 2020 obe make sure say or share investigations no into obe reopen investigations no into those particular things. The second one was say Ayawasu West Wagon by election no baby as some judge call ya also or dodgy bullet no me bras so case no on phones near there no obe make sure say sir Ayawasu West Wagon which John Dumelo has won right now no or no current helping obe make sure say obe open that investigations. Very nice. Then he says the murder of Ahmed Hussein Swale Anna Oyeduma or Tiger IPI and Anas Arimiya Anas Ikoshitu no up to date and solve this case no so be making sure say obe share into all those ones. Then the 24th point says that I will initiate a probe into the man-made disaster caused by the VRA's spillage from the Kosombo and Pond dams that displaced and destroyed the livelihoods of thousands of citizens in Volta, Eastern and Greater Accra. Like I said, omu biye dam ama ekosai nkrofo mo Kosombo ebi mo we sugar company ade nyina sai sem nkrofo fie ni ade nyina o se obe initiate investigations and obehwehwehwehwe sanya man so emu den the bar who was at fault because assembly sia baba between abepemene obi enim obi aso resign obi aso yansagi obi aso but okun nipa say niama me nyesho so bi wuye de but say property ni ejapade ne niama nyina ama nkofo kra ne edu echi ni City FM ko CBB nkofo de eduane ne niama kra komo mo so be make sure so be hwe eno so inside. The last 2 points, the point 25 and 26 says that he says I will initiate immediate steps to compensate the flood victims, including those in the Oti, Bono East and Savannah regions. There were flood victims. Nkofo nsio eyiri ya efafa nkofo ebi musi wo Bono region, ebi musi wo Oti region, ebi musi wo Savannah regions, and ebi musi wo akoso mboni sane amanyina obe make sure say ye be compensate san nkofo ni nyina. Then 26 says that I'll carry out a shake-up of all loss-making SOEs and realign them to break even and transition into profit-making.